Nachman MayUman. And Baruch Hashem, once again, some rabbi got up to make fun of Nach, and these things usually bring me great joy. Like Shlomo Carlebach said on an interview on the radio about Nach, he said, what would Nach be if Saba Yisrael or Yisrael Dovir comes to America and everyone says this is it, this is the emes. So it's another thing, it's another ordinary daily monotony of life. But now that there's a little pepper, a little action, they're saying, "Ooh, they do graffiti, they do this. It's mockery." So they add a little spice to Nanach, a little flair. This is what we live for. This brings joy to the everything we're doing, Baruch Hashem. But even still, the, even for this guy's own sake, that if it goes unchecked, then God forbid, then Hashem Yisbarach will have to intervene for the honor of the tzaddik. So if we enjoy it too much, it will be at his expense. So in truth, this video is really in for the sake of this rabbi and for those that are taking his side, to God forbid give us fuel to energize the nanachs with their empty rhetoric. So let this be a little check for them, to give them a little chance to rectify themselves, to get on the right side, and not chas v'shalom endanger themselves by taking a stance against the tzaddik. So one thing I would like to share with you is something from that I learned from these rabbis themselves, because the din, the harsh judgments, are only sweetened, mitigated in their source. That's what Rabbi Nachman teaches. So let's see what these rabbis themselves said about this idea of scoffery on matters of such importance. The Torah says in Genesis, in Bereshis, parshas Toldos, it's one of the first parshas of the Torah. It says, "Ve'ele Toldos Yitzchak ben Avram." These are the generations, the progeny of Isaac, the son of Abraham. Avram holy des Yitzchak. Abraham gave birth to Yitzchak. Now, there's a seeming redundancy in this verse. It says that Yitzchak, this is the progeny, the generations that came from Isaac, the son of Abraham. Abraham gave birth to Yitzchak. It just said that Yitzchak is the son of Abraham. This is God's words. What's this redundancy saying Abraham gave birth to Isaac? It just said that he's Abraham's son. So the super commentary Rashi says that this comes to teach us, this redundancy, that Yitzchak resembled Avraham, his father, his face, his countenance. This was a special miracle that Hashem made, so that he had the same, he looked the same as his father Abraham. And why did Hashem make sure to do this to Yitzchak, that he should resemble Abraham? Because Abraham and Sarah didn't have children till Abraham was he had Yishmael, but even that was until he was much older. But here Sarah is 90 years old, Abraham is 100 years old. He had one child when he was 87, but all of a sudden they didn't have any children. Then Avimelech, the king, takes Sarah captive, right? And shortly after, Sarah has a kid. So the Leitzanei Hador, the scoffers of the generation, right? The mockers, right? They were saying, God forbid, who knows? You know what happened? Abimelech took Sarah, and God forbid he raped her, and that's where Isaac came from, because she didn't have a kid all these years with Abraham, so it has to be that's what happened. Even though the Torah, the holy words of Hashem, said clarified straight out that he didn't touch her, and Abraham had prophecy. He saw that everything that she was protected, and Hashem promised him Isaac, and he delivered the promise, and there were angels, and the whole story. It's there's no even room to even consider such a thing. But that's the scoffers come and say, they mock everything. They bring their scoffery into the and say such a terrible thing against our matriarch, the holiest of women. They say such a thing. So therefore, Hashem did this miracle to make the countenance of Yitzchak similar to Abraham, so that it would be clear that this is the son of Abraham, not the son of God forbid some rapist, right? So this is a famous Rashi, the commentary of Rashi at the beginning of Parshas Toldos. So the commentaries are asking, these scoffers are saying that there was no miracle here. There's no miracle because the kid Yitzchak was born from rape, God forbid. But even according to what they're saying, that it was from rape, still the main miracle of Isaac's birth was that Sarah, his mother, was 90 years old, and 90-year-old women do not give birth, except very, very rarely, right? So the main miracle of Isaac's birth was that Sarah gave birth. So what do they gain with their mockery? What are they mocking? They're saying that some rapist came and kidnapped her and had a kid with her. They still have to admit that this was a huge miracle. That all of a sudden she has a kid at 90 years old. This is the miracle. So what does it help? What is their claim at all by saying that it came from Avimelech? The fact that a 100-year-old man had a kid isn't such a big miracle. A 100-year-old man can have children. It's not unheard of. If he's healthy, he's strong, he has kids. But for a woman at the age of 90, that's already she passed her period, or her time of giving birth. That's the main miracle. So this is a famous question that the commentaries are asking. So there's a famous answer given by the Brisker Rav. Brisk, you heard of Brisk, the Grizz. He says that this is the way of the mockers. They admit it has to been a huge miracle here, because Sarah gave birth at the age of 90. But they say the miracle was done for Avimelech, for the rapist, for this king that kidnapped her. The miracle was done for him, because the miracle was that Sarah gave birth at the age of 90. So the mockers come, the Leitzanim come, and they say, you see this miracle? It was done for Avimelech. This is the way of the scoffing. That this huge miracle was done for a rapist. So Hashem said, let it be clear that this is the son of Abraham. No scoffing. So we see with the Petek, with the holy leather that Saba Yisrael got from Rabbi Nachman, which signed Nach, Nachma MayUman. We see what it's doing in the world. There was never such a thing in all of history. Who heard of such a thing? That a little piece of paper, a little piece of paper is making the whole world crazy. The entire world is talking about Nach non-stop. It's on all the cars, all the houses, graffiti, the newspapers. It's in the elections now in Israel. Everywhere you go, they're printing millions, literally millions, without exaggeration, millions and millions of books. They're translating the books in all the languages. It's going out all over the world. It's changing people around. I only became Nanach only from this letter. I was also a bit going on the rabbi's way, and I read all of Rabbi Nachman's books, and I didn't start becoming aggressive. I said it's beautiful. The only this letter changed me around, and it's changing hundreds and thousands of people. It's turning the whole world around. People can't stop. People can't get enough of it. Producing music, millions of people are listening to Nanach music. There's thousands of songs literally being produced just based on Nanach. And comes along a rabbi, a late, a scoffer, a mocker, and he says, this letter, it's a hoax. Some guy who knew nothing about Rabbi Nachman or anything, somehow he put together this amazing letter which has references that somehow he merited through his scoffery to know them, because in those days it wasn't available, the teachings of Rabbi Nachman. So how in the world did he know about them? It was forbidden to learn Rabbi Nachman. There weren't books. It wasn't like today that you could just get a book from Rabbi Nachman. You had to be in the inn. And he was, and his son was interviewed. We have the interview from the son that says that his father knew nothing about it, couldn't have done it, and knew nothing about it. And the rabbi, the dean of the yeshiva, where Saba got the letter, had a photographic memory, and he was a tremendously brilliant person, and he was very close to Saba, and he first also laughed at it, and he did his investigations and interrogated all the boys and everything until he came to and said, Saba, I see that it's true. It couldn't come from anything else. And he said, I absolve all my objection to Brisker. You got this letter from Rabbi Nachman. And Rabbi Moshe Feinstein, the leader of all the rabbis of the previous generation, met with Saba Yisrael. He was already over 90 years old with cancer. May Hashem save us. And he met with Saba and spoke to him for a half hour. He won't even speak to people. People couldn't even speak to him. He was already locked up. He couldn't. He was 90 years old with cancer. He's made a 30-minute meeting with Saba, at least 30 minutes, and he wrote an approbation saying that he saw an amazing letter. And I know people that were in the room that told me even more amazing things about he helped Saba connect him with very instrumental, with powerful people in the government and that he was connected with to help him raise money and to promote this letter. and and Saba himself said that he merited to know things about this, that if he would review even a few words, you wouldn't even have free choice. And there's even more proofs, but comes along this mocker and says that all these miracles that we see that this letter, the Petek, has, that it received approbation, and it's so amazingly convincing to so many people, and it's the impetus and the drive to promote Rabbi Nachman in a way that was never seen in history for anyone or for anything, that it's permeating every area of our life, in the media, on the road, everywhere you go. Everything is Rabbi Nachman, Nachman MayUman. And he comes and says, this miracle, it's a hoax. It's all because of some person that just wrote off a little something, and that's it. Right? So this is Avimelech. Right? Rabbi Nachman says, what's Avimelech? Avimelech. He wants to rule. Avi is a language of desire. Melech is to rule, to be a king. He wants He wants his honor. He's worried. He says, I've shown this video. He's worried that nanachs are taking away his honor. That we dress with, that we have peyot that are. Who cares how your peyot are? You want to make them nice and curly with a curler or with what? That's not what we're living for. How to make our peyot? And he's worried about where we wear tzitzit, if they're outside or inside. We're printing the books of Rabbi Nachman. We're bringing Rabbi Nachman to the masses. Wear your tzitzis however you like. What are you basing your life on? What are you talking about? Right? So this is the way of the mockers, and we appreciate the mockery because he who laughs laughs, laughs last, who laughs laughs. It just brings us joy that it's getting into their kishkas. They're starting to understand that there's no way that Nanach is going to enter them, and they're going to become Nanach. There's no other way. There's no escape route from Nanach. This is Rabbi Nachman. This isn't us. We have no rabbi. We have no position we have nothing to gain from this. We're not in any power struggle. We are just promoting Rabbi Nachman, and if it doesn't meet his standards of honor and respect, this is his problem. He's gonna have to deal with how he wants to gain respect in life, because Rabbi Nachman says that the main thing is to be happy. And Rabbi Nachman said explicitly that usually the main way to be happy is to do some wild, crazy things. This is what Rabbi Nachman says. So if he has a problem with being happy, and he wants to be aggressive, so he's gonna have to come to grips with that. Baruch Hashem, at least in his merit, I made this little video, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope we go stronger and stronger with Nach, Nachma MayUman, Nach.